everyone, and thank you for joining me for another Sims 4 speed video where I am building and renovating the Garden Essence lot in Willow Creek, part of my ongoing series of videos where I am renovating this world in The Sims 4, getting through it very slowly, but today we are going to be, furnishing and decorating 2 of the units. Now, there was just, I think I said in the last video that I had probably about 14 hours of footage. Now that is a monstrous amount of footage for me to go through and edit and talk over. So, I mean, I've done a lot of edits here. I don't think it's more than what I've been doing. The edits are more than what I've been doing lately. I've kind of just been showing more or less the highlights of the building and the decorating. But, I mean, still, I feel like I just had to really try and condense this down because I did say in my community poll the other day that this build was going to be 4 parts, but I think I'm going to condense it down to 3. I just feel like, you know, it's very hard for me to talk over 4 videos about the same lot. I mean, even though there's 4 different buildings on this lot, still, I feel like there's only so much that I can really talk about. So I'm kind of just really cramming 2 of the builds into this video, and then the next video will be the third building that I built, so the shotgun house, and then the renovation of the Garden Essence house itself, where the BFF household live. And so with the first lot here, this is a small family home, and it is 2 bedrooms. It has 1 study, a half bathroom, and 2 full bathrooms. One of those bathrooms is an ensuite. There's also a third room which can double as, well, not double, but it can be either a study or a third bedroom. So you've got that option there if you would like to download this. And I mean, in terms of the style of the decorating, I tried to keep each building unique in terms of the decorating and the style and the color schemes that I was using. So this one here is kind of, I feel like it's just typical kind of modern suburban. I mean, I don't even know if that's a thing. I'm not really good with interior design terminology, but I mean, it's pretty casual. And I mean, there's some modern elements. What I kind of had in mind, and I've been thinking about this, like I've had the style in mind when I've been doing my Sims 3 builds as well, is kind of like this contemporary, modern classic kind of design style, where you're kind of mixing contemporary and classic design styles and bringing them together. So I've kind of done that a little bit here. I think I actually started this renovation with this build with that style in mind. So you can kind of see I've been, especially in the living room, with the the table that the TV is on. Like, it's kind of like an older styled, you know, piece of furniture. I was kind of had that in my mind when I was putting this lot together, but then I moved more towards a modern style towards the end of the build of this particular unit. But the second unit, I do go for a more classic kind of modern look, which I think is actually called Modern Luxe, and there is a stuff pack, not a stuff pack, a Sims 4 kit called Modern Luxe that kind of, I guess, emulates that style. And so I put the living room and the hallway together pretty quickly, and now I'm moving on to the kitchen. So because these houses are really small, this house in particular, I had to put the laundry in the kitchen as well. I don't think that's very common for American houses. It's actually not very common for New Zealand houses either, for the laundry to be in the kitchen. I'm pretty sure it's like a UK thing. I think it's a very efficient use of space because, I mean, you know, having all your big appliances in the same space, I mean, it makes sense. You know, especially if you don't have much room for a laundry. And in this case, I didn't have much room for a laundry, so the washing machine and the dryer are in the kitchen, and not in the kind of the kitchen space, but they're in the same room. This is what I'm decorating now, is like the kitchen space, and then on the other side of the room is where there is a space for the washing machine and dryer and some counter space as well. So you can see I'm just kind of playing around with the style of cabinets that I want to use, the blinds, and I've kind of, you know, filled up some gaps in between the fridge and the sink, or a gap between the fridge and the sink, with this nice little cabinet that comes from Get to Work. And I was really happy that I found that, because there was just this awkward space between the fridge and the sink, and I had no idea what to fill it with. And then I found that little kind of almost like a little cubby cabinet, and just stuck it in there, and it fit very nicely. And I mean, it was quite limited in terms of the color swatches, but I found a swatch that looked quite nice with the rest of the kitchen. And you can see here, like I've put the kitchen together, and then I ended up forgetting to press record. And so I had to go through and undo all of my build stuff that I've done, you know, and all my decor placement and all that. And I was like, you know what, instead of putting it all back together again, I'm just going to undo it, and then I'm just going to press record and then hit the redo button, so you can see it all just get put into place. So I went and did that, and now I've moved on to the dining room, which is quite small, and I'm using the Dream Home Decorator shelves and you know, bookshelves and stuff like that. It just looks really nice, and it's really good for filling spaces, you know, tight little spaces, to make them look more detailed. And then I'm putting this little sideboard here with a nice vase with flowers, and it's also got a candle. And you can see I'm swiveling the camera around because I'm trying to decide on the placement and how to utilize the space. One of the things, I mean, because I had taken a bit of a break from building in The Sims, one of the things that I kind of forgot to do when I came back to building was keeping in mind that I am recording. And so here, this is probably where the editing can be quite jarring, because I'm having to edit out a lot of me zooming in and out and swiveling the camera around a lot, just so I can see what I've done from lots of different angles. And I just need to remember not to do that while I'm recording, because it actually makes it very difficult for me to edit and to keep things consistent with the editing. So lesson learned, I'm going to try and remember not to do that with my next renovations. So yeah, but I mean, this is a cute little dining room, and the cabinets came together really nice. And then I'm just looking for something to put in the corner here, so I think I stick with that plant. And then of course putting in some light switches, because I love the realism that light switches add. And then I'm just looking for some curtains for the dining room. Now, in all of these lots, I feel like I struggled with the curtains a lot, and I just do that in general with this game. I think in all of the Sims games, probably where I'm not playing with custom content, I just struggle with curtains so much. And it's due to the fact that the curtains come in lots of different styles, but with very limited swatches that go well together, or they don't really look that good on diagonal windows. And so I was going to do some longer kind of lush looking curtains like I'd done in the living room and in the hallway, but I couldn't really do that with the dining room because of the diagonal windows. So I went with the blinds, and I feel like they look fine. I mean, they do the trick, and they add you know, some nice detail to that room, so I'm happy to do that. And then we just got that little mudroom there to the courtyard out back, which I haven't built yet, but you would have seen in the first video that it's pretty much been built and completed. Now coming on to the half bathroom downstairs, very simple half bathroom with a toilet, a pedestal sink, and a mirror. And now I'm just putting in a rug, and then coming in and adding in some essential bathroom details. With my cluttering, when it comes to putting things on like shelves, you might see me do this a bit later on. Actually, you will see me do this later on. I don't like to use move objects or anything to place objects on shelves, only because the objects, you know, if you play with walls in cutaway mode, then the shelves will cut away, but the objects that you've used, move objects to kind of place onto those shelves, they will be floating in midair because they're not actually snapping to any of the slots on the shelves. So I know, and it looks so much better when you use move objects to place objects on shelves, because the slots are so weird sometimes and they just put objects in weird places. It's a bit of a shame, but it really does irritate me because I do play this game as well. Like I build in it and I do play in it, and it irritates me when I'm playing in a house and I can see just random objects floating in the air, because I know that if I put the walls up I can see that they're on a shelf, but when I'm playing in cutaway mode, then I've just got random objects floating all about the place, and so I try and avoid doing that, and I just try and place the objects on shelves if they snap to a slot. So now we're in the master bedroom, and I've put this kind of modern feature from Eco Living, the Eco Living pack, behind the bed there. Now I'm using some more Dream Home Decorator units and shelves and all that cool stuff to build like a built-in wardrobe, not wardrobe, but just like a storage space in the room as well. I was having a bit of trouble with Tool trying to get these shelves to move up and down, but it's because I was selecting all of the shelves and I only needed to select one to move all of them up and down. So that's actually good to know. I will remember that for next time, because I was like, what the heck, what's going on? Why are they all moving at like different spaces? So yeah, just continuing to find the right color tone. So this house here, it kind of has more of a I guess brown and pink and kind of, no, I wouldn't really say autumnal. There's not really any sort of orange or yellows in this house. It's more kind of warmer pinks and browns. And overall the house feels very warm in terms of color combinations and, you know, warmer woods and stuff like that. Here I am filling up the what am I doing? I'm decorating with lots of clutter, putting some stuff in the upper storage units there, and now I'm putting in a lamp putting lamps on the end table, and coming and putting a ceiling light as well. Here I'm just playing around with different types of ceiling lights and deciding which one I wanted to use. I really like that one from Bowling Night, but it was very dark, so it was more of like a spotlight in terms of the lighting that it gave off. So I just went with the same ceiling light that I chose downstairs. And now I'm putting in some curtains, and I use these curtains a lot throughout this build, and I was going to say the next build, but I actually use the curtains from Modern Luxe in the next build. I just really like the modular curtains. They're very handy and so versatile. The only annoying thing about them is the limited swatches, but there is a trick that I do in terms of the with the wood swatches, and that is to cover the railing of the curtain with a swatch that I would prefer. And because there's some overlap, I do have to use Tool to resize it a little bit and move the extra railing piece up, I think, because yeah, I don't know, there's just a little bit of weird maneuvering I need to do with Tools sometimes to get it to work, but I'm just glad I have that flexibility, glad that there is the Tool mod for me to be able to do that. And yes, now we're moving on to the ensuite bathroom, and this is very small. There's just a shower, a sink, and a toilet. Yes, it was very oddly shaped. It was very oddly shaped, this bathroom. I mean, in terms of its size, but just with the window placement, it makes things a bit awkward. I try not to have sinks right underneath windows, just so that there's space for a mirror. Preferably I put the toilet underneath a window, and yeah, that just kind of means that there is more or there's space for a mirror above the sink. Although I think in the next building, I had to put a mirror on a wall next to the sink because it didn't actually fit in. Or there was a window in the way. So now moving on to the bedroom of the second bedroom of this house, and I decorated this to be more like a kid's bedroom, and so here I am just kind of putting some furniture together to make it look more built in, and just to utilize the higher ceilings of all of these houses really. I mean, I don't mind high ceilings. I think from outside they actually look really nice, but working with them indoors, it can be a bit awkward. Like sometimes the objects that you use they feel like they're not quite big enough for the room just because the walls are so tall. So to kind of get around that, I tend to merge furniture, or like I've done here, I've merged a dresser and a bookshelf. I've just put the bookshelf on top of the dresser just so it looks like it's more built in and it's more grand, and it goes all the way up the wall rather than only say halfway up. And then I've got a desk, and then I'm just putting in an end table here. I kind of kept this one gender neutral, I feel. I mean, I didn't really have in mind whether this was for a little boy or a little girl. I didn't really want to do anything too specific, so I tried to keep it as gender neutral as possible. And I'm just putting all the usual kids stuff in there. So we got a toy box, a desk, and a chair, and some kids decorations. I really do like the kids decorations in this game. They're really, really cool. It's always fun to kind of mix and match the kids decorations. And I mean, I feel like these two houses that I'm building today are put together really neatly. So I'm not doing a crazy amount of clutter. I never really do a crazy amount of clutter. I think I say this all the time, but I tend to keep the clutter to a reasonable minimum. I know that clutter can make houses look more lived in, and I prefer that for more I guess family, like lived in homes, whereas I think for these types of homes that I'm doing, they're more like show homes in a way. They're quite neat and tidy with things put away. Nothing's really messy or left out. And I think for like true family homes, that's probably where I'm going to get more into the like super detailed clutter. I did that more with the Pleasance house when I built their house in Willow Creek. I actually, with my mindset with that build, was to keep the downstairs tidy, because I guess that's where people are going to see. No one's ever really, guests aren't really going to have a need to go upstairs. So I kept the downstairs pretty tidy and clean, whereas the upstairs got quite chaotic. And so this one here, it's more like, everything's more or less tidy and put away. I do have a couple of grungy builds that I want to do, probably for, it'll be like another set of rentals in the lot next to this one. I think I'm only going to do maybe 3 units in that one, and they're going to be much smaller than these units here. But I think for those ones I will go and do a lot more cluttering with them, just because they do have much limited space. So I feel like, if people are living in those houses, there's not a lot of storage space, so you're going to see things left out. And yeah, I mean, here we are in the study, and I've used some island counters for the desk, and to get the computer centered, I put the computer on an island counter, and then I just shrunk it down and moved it into place with the chair snapped to it. So it should work just fine. I haven't play tested this, but I mean, if there's any issues, then you can always just move the computer to one of the island counters that are already there. I've got the shelves on the wall, and I've cluttered those up. And as you can see, as I mentioned earlier with the how I was talking about cluttering shelves, I've kind of just put clutter on these slots rather than using move objects to really cram items onto the shelves. I mean, it looks fine to me, but I feel like it would be better if there were more slots on shelves, or objects where there were more objects that you could place on shelves. because yeah, at the moment I do feel like, you know, shelves, and there are definitely objects that I think would fit on shelves, but they don't, so that can be really annoying to work with. But it's a reasonable sized study area with a few or a couple of big bookshelves in there. So yeah, and now I'm working on the hallway, a very simple hallway, nothing too exciting about it. I mean, hallways are hallways. Do they really need to be extravagant? Nope. But I feel like I did a reasonable job on this hallway here. And I'm just fixing the placement of this painting, and then I'm moving on to the upstairs bathroom. So this is kind of the main bathroom here. You see I've got this nice white tile that came with the anniversary event. It's one of the unlockables. And I really wanted to do this shower tub combo, this kind of DIY shower tub combo. It looks really good. Not necessarily with this curtain, I was just playing around with the curtain to see how it would look. But I think it looks good with these wooden columns. There's kind of like a guard, but the shower isn't functional, which really annoys me. I know even if it was functional, there'll be some clipping with Sims, you know, putting their feet through the bath, but I could get over that just for the sake of it looking really good, like a nice shower in a tub that is backless, has no other features on it, just very plain, and it leaves you to kind of do whatever you want with it. But unfortunately, yeah, the shower doesn't work, so I do change that back to the classic shower tub combo that you saw when I initially came to this room here. But yeah, I mean, a very simple bathroom as per the other bathrooms I've done. Yeah, just a toilet, a pedestal sink. We've got some storage cupboards there, and I'm putting in some typical bathroom clutter, so some towels. I think there will be some soap on the sink, and probably some toothbrushes as well. And I will at the very end go and add in a nice plunger next to the toilet, just for that oh, there we go, there's the plunger. Some sensational realism there. Actually, I don't put soap on that sink, I just put toothbrushes. I mean, if you want to put some soap on that sink, you're more than welcome to. I think I forgot to do that. Some of the clutter might actually change, because when I was doing the panning shots for this build, I did notice a couple of things that I didn't quite like, so I just made some very slight changes to the clutter. Actually, I'm just going to talk about what I did in the kitchen there, even though it's, you know, been and gone, but I did try to make like a custom backsplash for behind the oven. Now, I used a divider from Spa Day stuff, but I do change that for kind of like a backdrop kind of backsplash that came with that party kit. I can't remember what it's called, but it's that kit that came with all the party stuff. There's actually like a nice kind of tiled, it's just like a backdrop really, but it can be used as a backsplash. So I do replace that, and you'll see that in the panning shots. So now we have moved on to this second unit, and immediately you will notice that there is a bit of a contrast in terms of the colors. So this one is much darker, and it is kind of going for the contemporary kind of classic look with the older style couch. It's got these nice parquet floors, but it's also got these modern wooden kind of panels as the wall texture. And here I am struggling with curtains as per usual. I cut out a lot of footage of me playing with the curtains. I don't stick with these curtains here. They look okay at the moment. It was more or less just the colors that I was struggling with. Like, I couldn't really settle on light curtains or dark curtains. I wanted this house to be dark, but I didn't want it to be like goth. I don't know if that even makes sense. But I was looking at a lot of reference photos for like dark interior design, and there were quite a few that looked really nice, like nice modern, modern luxe kind of styles, but they didn't really look goth, and so I was really trying hard to emulate that style without it looking goth. But it's a nicely spaced living room. It's a reasonable size, like it's not too big, not too small. And I'm just putting in some bookshelves, and yeah, some seating areas as well. Of course, it's got a TV and a coffee table, and the only thing that really bugs me about this living room is the windows being off center. So you can see that I've kind of lined up this sideboard here with the windows, but it's not centered with the couch, and that was just kind of one of the compromises that I had to make just because of the shape of the house. It's probably one tile wider than it needs to be, but in order for the floor plan to work and to kind of be spacious enough and for me to keep the look of the exterior that I wanted, I just had to kind of deal with these kind of wonky windows. And yeah, so I'm just doing a little bit of clutter here. We've also got this little record player in the corner there that I initially placed that in the other house, and soon I had realized that both houses had the same record player. So I go and replace the record player in the first build that I did, and I replaced that with another record player that is quite a bit different. This one I liked, and well, I liked the record player that I chose for this house particularly because it came in a nice dark swatch and it was more kind of classic looking, whereas the other one is more retro looking, kind of like I don't know, like a 60s or 70s record player. So I'm just coming and cluttering up this table here. And yeah, we've got some artwork on the walls there. I did use those panels from the Decor to the Max kit, but I do take them off. I have mixed feelings about those. I mean, I'm looking back at the footage now and they actually look all right. I do change that artwork that's above the love seat, but yeah, I mean, the panels, they're okay. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I definitely want to use them in more spaces because they can add some nice details to walls. But I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't quite decide whether I liked them or not. So I did take them out of this this room here. And now I've got another sideboard, and I'm just going and cluttering this up. So we've got this nice little cat statue, although I don't think that stays. But we do have this magazine stack with a nice kind of it almost looks like a dragon statue on it, but yeah, I try moving that on the coffee table, and then I do move it back to the sideboard. But here's where I'm changing the artwork, and I took off those panels, and so I just went with some artwork of Lady Mimsy, I think that's her name. Here she is, just going above the sideboard there. And yeah, I put the magazine stack back on the sideboard next to the lamp, and I'm also going to put a little plant on the sideboard next to the statue here. And then for the other side, because it's a little bit lopsided in terms of the decorations, the decorations are quite big, so I do want to balance that out by putting an urn on the sideboard as well. Sims 4 and its urns, I mean, the base game came with so many urns, just a crazy amount of urns. So yeah, it's always fun to utilize those. Now I'm just looking at some cushions to put on the sofa here. So I'm just going to move objects on and move them up, and then I'm going to use the tool mod eventually to change the angle of them just so that they slope back a little bit and are not sticking upright as they do in their normal state. So here I am, just rotating them a little bit, and I'm going to move this one forward so that it's not clipping into the couch there. Right, now we are going to put a rug down. I have put one ottoman in the room, you can see in the left hand side next to the TV, and I put in this nice grey and black rug, and then I start moving on to the hallway, and I choose this brown paneling for the hallway and put that on the stairs, and I'm just trying to decide on a railing. I do change the railing a bit later on, and yeah, because this one that I'm using here, I just wanted something a little more classic looking. This one looks kind of rustic looking. It's got some metal on the railings, I think. Well, from the looks of it, it does. So yeah, I do change it to something a little more, well, I think I just change it to something that's all wood. Going with the usual hallway decor of a sideboard with a mirror above it. I initially choose this mirror from the Bistro kit, but I changed that a little bit later on. Now I'm just looking for a lamp. The color schemes that I was going for this house, I mean, they are much darker, but I did want to go for some orange and blues because that's actually the color of the exterior house. That wasn't really what I was I wasn't doing that on purpose. It kind of just came about by coincidence. When I was looking at reference photos for interior design, there was some nice kind of nicely decorated homes that were very dark, but then they also had there were some that I saw that had like nice browns and deep blues and oranges together, and I really liked that. And then so I started putting that together for the living room, and then I decided that I wanted to do it for the rest of the house more or less. And then just by coincidence I was like, oh yeah, this entire house is orange and blue pretty much. So yeah, it all kind of ties in nicely. And here, just continuing with the hallway, and I'm just putting in this like little seating area, just making use of this space here. So I put like a chair, and I was going to put an end table there, but it sticks out a bit too much. I mean, it's not a huge space to walk through, so I do change the end table that I put there to like a china cabinet. I'm just putting in some lamps at the moment, and of course I choose some classic lamps. Like I imagine that those lamps were an original feature of the house, and then the house was renovated and they decided to keep the original lampshades. So here I'm replacing the end table with a china cabinet, and I just put some clutter on top of it, and I move back to the sideboard to put on a little decorative some decorative sticks or twigs, because those are very trendy and they look nice. And now I'm putting a rug in this section of the hallway, and now I am revisiting the rug in the first section of the hallway. So this is where my method of building really starts to become evident. I do revisit different spaces within the build multiple times. Like, I think it's very rare for me to put a room together and then just be done with it. There are many times where I will put something together and then I will, go off and do something else, and then I'll come back and look at it and I'll be like, oh, I don't like it. And then I'll go and change it. I'm very indecisive, and it really irritates me. I wish that when I was decorating, I could easily just, decorate a room and be done with it and move on, but I always just, come back to it, or I see it in the corner of my eye and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to change something. I don't know if other Sims builders struggle with that. Let me know what your building style is, and whether you are someone that can easily throw together a room and be done with it, or if you're like me and you make like a million different changes to things as you go. I mean, I think we all have the same end goal where we want to make something, look as nice as we want it to look. But we just have different ways of getting there. Some ways may be more efficient than others. Mine clearly isn't. But yeah, anyway, we're onto the kitchen now. So for the flooring, I've chosen this parquet flooring that came with the new event. And this is actually a throwback to The Sims 1. I believe this parquet flooring is in The Sims 1. It's a really nice parquet flooring. So was that tile that I put in the bathroom in the other house, the half bathroom on the ground floor, I think it was. So I've used that parquet flooring here, and I've gone with some nice green cabinets and counters, and now I'm putting in a dining space. It's also got I feel like this is a really nice kitchen. It's really cozy. It's the right size for the type of house that this is, because it's an open dining and kitchen, and I feel like the color comes together really well. Once again, I struggle with the colors of the curtains, but ultimately I am really happy with how this room comes together. So I've got a side table or a sideboard just in front of these windows here with a picture above it. I've got this plant in the corner, but I do change that later on. I'm putting some clutter on this sideboard now. I've just pulled out all the clutter that I want to use. in this area. Well, not all of it anyway. I just kind of pulled out the clutter that I thought looked nice, and then I just decided what I actually wanted to use. And I'm just kind of, filling up these spaces here. And I think that's basically it. I don't really use anything else. And then, just with that plant in the corner, I felt like I could put something a little more substantial in that corner. So I decided to put a chair in the corner here. And it's this chair from the Love Struck expansion pack. And it's a nice green, and it kind of matches the cabinets, the kitchen cabinets. Now I'm putting in a light above the island cabinet. There is also an electric kettle. I've never actually played with the electric kettle, so I don't know how it works. I'm pretty sure it's just another means of getting tea and coffee, but yet to see how it works. But I did put one in here anyway. Now I'm just putting this decorative object next to some of the cabinets, the floor to ceiling cabinets there. And once again, playing around with the color of the curtains. Now I've revisited the kitchen space, and I'm just putting in a backsplash. I did get rid of the window above the sink because I wanted to have a full backsplash that wasn't interrupted by a window. So I did get rid of that window. So I could just put this backsplash in. And I used the, it's kind of like a wall feature from Dine Out. It looks really nice, and it goes really well with the cabinets, and it comes in this nice kind of black color. In terms of cluttering in front of it, I did have to just be careful where I placed the clutter objects because that wall feature does stick out a little bit, so I couldn't place them right up against the wall, otherwise they would clip into it. Now I'm back in the dining space, and I am once again reconsidering the color of the curtains, and I'm changing them to this grey color. If you like any of the shades of the curtains that I've chosen here, and you're not happy with the whatever color I've chosen, by all means go and recolor them to whatever you think looks good. I think the black could work, but I just felt like it was a little too dark. The gray is kind of like a nice compromise between lightening up the room a little bit, but not being like super dark. Anyway, so we've moved on to the half bathroom downstairs and the laundry space. So very simple rooms here, and you can see here this is where the where I mentioned earlier where a mirror had to go on the side of the wall next to the sink because there was a window above the sink, so I couldn't actually place a mirror there. Now we're moving upstairs, and I'm just putting this herringbone texture onto part of the walls there, and I'm moving on to the textures for the rest of the house. So I'm using the wall covering from the Modern Luxe kit, and I was playing around with some lighter colors, but I do choose the black. Except for the master bedroom, I choose the blue covering, and you can see here I've started putting in some furniture. So we've got the bed here, some end tables. I used most of the furniture from the Modern Luxe kit in this bedroom just because it was, it went with the theme and visual style that I was going for. Putting in some lamps. I do use this rug from the Decor to the Max kit, but not in the swatch. I do change the swatch. Actually, no, I changed the rug, and I use the same rug in the kids' bedroom, which is coming up. Now I'm just putting in some curtains and just playing around with the spacing of the curtains because I do like a decent amount of the windows to still be seen when there are curtains on the walls. Like, I don't like the curtains to be the windows to be completely covered up by curtains. So if I can move the curtains around so that they're not completely covering windows, then that looks good. I mean, it depends on the curtain. I think with these curtains, because they're modular, you kind of you can play around with them and decide whatever looks good. But here I just like to space them out a little bit so there's a bit of a gap so you can actually see the window. Initially I chose some really tall curtains for these shorter windows, and I did that because I wanted to put some curtains in the walk-in wardrobe space. So yes, this bedroom does have a walk-in wardrobe space, not a huge one, but it's just like a sectioned off space for the dresser. And I also put some wall decor at these shelves with clothes and just coat racks, basically clothing racks, not coat racks, clothing racks. And adding in a picture. I think I actually used that picture in the house next door, but oh well, it looks good in this room too. There's also a vanity in here, and I am cluttering that up now. Again, using some of the clutter from the Modern Luxe kit, and we've got a nice plant there, and just some base game clutter, but I think I changed that out a little bit later on. And just putting a journal next to the bed. I do like putting journals next to the bed. I just think that's some nice clutter to have there. And now I'm putting some cushions on this little bench here. And these cushions are also from the Modern Luxe kit, and of course I'm just resizing them so they look a little bit better, and also rotating them backwards. Yeah, just so that they don't look like they're just sticking straight up into the air. Now I'm putting in some shelves, and they're also from the Modern Luxe kit. I use a lot of the Modern Luxe kit stuff for this bedroom. I think I already said that, but they are very high right now, so I do lower them down just a little bit. And here I am just in the walk-in wardrobe, placing in the clothing racks and the shelves there. Yeah, and I think that looks quite nice. Very simple, doesn't need to be too extravagant. I mean, it's not like this is a mansion or anything. Now moving to the ensuite bathroom, and so we've got a nice dark tile from the High School Years pack, and I'm coming in with the usual toilet and a pedestal sink. And yeah, we've got the shower tub combo. I do add in a blind behind the shower tub combo just because the curtain is see-through. Normally I wouldn't do that with the other shower tub combo because it's not a transparent curtain, so it doesn't really make sense to have a curtain behind a curtain. So in this case I did need one, so I just put a blind up, and then I put some shelves above the toilet and the pedestal sink and a little bit of clutter on there. And I'm moving back to the bedroom and just adding some final touches before I move on to the kids' bedroom. And I decorated this one to be more of like a teenager's room. This one also has a walk-in wardrobe or walk-in closet, but I used some different assets for this particular bedroom. And I'm just cluttering it up here. And now I'm moving on to the main bedroom part. And I'm using this bed from High School Years with the black frame and blue bedding. I've got the rug on the floor. I'm putting in a desk and chair. Again, I'm going with the black curtains. I can't quite remember if they stay black. I mean, I've changed the curtains so many times in this house. Like I cannot remember for the life of me what I ended up sticking with. But they're black at the moment. And I'm putting in a bookshelf, and I do need to do a bit of fiddling around in terms of the placement of furniture because I did want there to be a TV and a gaming console in this room. And you know, I wanted there to be enough seating for Sims to be able to sit down and, you know, play video games and whatever. So the placement of furniture did get a bit tricky, so I do a bit of maneuvering. Here I am placing the TV, and I'm moving the desk about because I wanted to put a sofa in this room as well, but in order to have a sofa I wouldn't have been able to have a desk. Like there just wouldn't have been enough room. I could have gone with a smaller bookshelf, but I really liked the look of that bookshelf. And I mean, that kind of works. I don't know if the sofa or the love seat would have been usable, particularly the side of the love seat that was closer to the desk. So I just compromised and put in some poofs or some ottomans, and there we go. It's pretty much set up for some gaming. Of course I'm going to put in the console a bit later on, but at the moment I'm putting some clutter on the end table. Just got this light from High School Years. I really do love that lamp. It's so beautiful. I just love the Art Deco style of it, and I'm just an Art Deco fanatic. And I mean, yeah, it's really pretty. The bookshelf I did shrink down a little bit because it was huge, and because I did that I had to manually place clutter on the bookshelf, because if I snapped it to the slots that were on the bookshelf after I sized it down, then they would be floating. So I had to manually place them and then use tools to make sure that they were at the correct height. Now I'm using this console here, and that one came with one of the recent events, I'm pretty sure. and I'm decorating the walls with some posters. I've also got that new kind of throwback poster set there, and now I'm moving on to the study, and this one goes for more of like a really classical look with the bookshelves here. I was trying to make it so that the desk looked like it was built into the bookshelves, so I pushed it in a little bit. It doesn't quite work initially, but towards the end I kind of get it to look a bit, you know, a bit more merged with the bookshelf. And in this corner here I've got this little like reading nook, and I wasn't very happy with it. It just looked really awkward. This room is very awkward, and it was so hard to place furniture and kind of get a workable, I guess, a workable functional space that didn't look so weird. So for the longest time I left it like this. As it is now, I'm just kind of, you know, trying to merge this desk into the bookshelf again. For the longest time I left it like that, but in the end I decided to section off that part and just turn it into a tiny little art studio. And yeah, so as you can see, now I'm sectioning it off and putting in, well, moving all the furniture that's in there at the moment, taking that out and putting it in the main part of the study. And then I go and just add in an easel and some various art related clutter as well. No curtains, because I mean it's an art studio, so you're going to be getting paint everywhere. Although I feel like when you've got really nice paneled walls in there, you probably wouldn't turn that into an art studio, because the paint would get everywhere and that room would just get destroyed. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense in terms of the wall panels being in there, or that really nice parquet floor uncovered, but I mean it looks nice, so it's gonna stay. Now we've got the upstairs hallway, and I'm just doing some very simple decorating in here with a sideboard and plant, and I also get this nice rotary phone, which I love the phones. You would have seen on the other house that I put a phone in the kitchen, the wall phone. I mean, even though they're not functional, I don't care. I just love the fact that they're there as decorations. It's so cool. And then I'm just putting in some light switches. Now moving on to the upstairs bathroom, and I'm going with another shower tub combo. It's just the best use of space, particularly for this bathroom here. What makes it more difficult is the fact that I used two tile doors, and it just means that they don't really allow for as much space in the rooms that they are used on, because they take up an extra tile. So I may, like if I'd used a single tile door, I may have been able to fit a shower and a bathtub, but I just like those doors. I feel like they look nicer, and yeah, so just playing around with the color schemes, but it's mostly black, white, and you know, I've got the brown floors there with some gold accents. I'm adding in some clutter as well, and then we've just got the toilet, and I'm going to add some shelving units. I was going to use this kind of shelving unit there, but I end up putting some shelves on the walls here, and just putting a little bit of clutter on there just with what the slots allow me. So we've got a plant and some bathroom clutter kit stuff, and now I'm coming to the sink and adding in some toothbrushes. I think there's only one toothbrush and some toothpaste, but some nice detail there. And then I'm adding a trash can. And now we've reached the panning shot. So if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for listening. I mean, these voiceovers really are a labor of love, but they are incredibly difficult when they're this long. I do really struggle with the long voiceovers, and I mean, I struggle even more when I feel like I don't have much to say, or if I'm just not really in a talking mood. But yeah, I really appreciate you having stuck through the video this far. As always, it's a pleasure to bring these to you. This lot, when it is finished, will be available on my gallery, and my gallery ID is minosimu_NZ. That's it from me. So we have one more part to go for this build, so it will be the decorating of the shotgun house and then the renovation of the BFF house. Until then, I will talk to you later.